Jim, that's our first 3 league points of the season. You must be pleased.
Yeah, we're delighted. I think it's long overdue, to be honest. We feel that we should have had 3 points here in the opening day fixture against Dundee, and definitely up in Dingwall. 2 minutes to go and added on time. We should have saw that game out as well. So delighted today to get that first league win, to follow up from last weekend's really good performance against St Mirren, and puts us in a nice place after 3 games.
How do you look back at the 90 overall?
I thought the first half was really poor from both teams, to be honest. I thought it was really scrappy. I have to give credit to St Johnstone. They set up in a different system than what we were expecting. They played with a couple of wider players to try and prevent Lucas Stevenson and Will Ferry getting on the ball, and credit to St Johnstone, that actually worked for them and nullified that threat from our perspective. When that happens during the game, we then need to come up with different solutions, and I didn't think we'd done that well enough at all. We were guilty in the first 45 minutes of causing a lot of our own problems. We don't want to be predictable. We want the players to mix things up, sometimes playing short from the back, sometimes trying to build, and then sometimes go that little bit longer where you can drop it into the striker, or even go longer again and get the opposition turned. And I thought just in 1 or 2 of those instances we made poor choices, and that led to some dangerous attacks against us. We got lucky with the back pass from Luca back to Jack, and thankfully that didn't lead to St Johnstone getting the opener. We made 1 or 2 little changes at half time, encouraged the boys to play forward a little bit earlier, to stop going back to Jack, and I think that helped. I think the goal that we scored, the first goal, I thought was actually a really good goal, and probably the first bit of quality that we had in the game in that first 54 minutes. In credit to Dre Wright against for St Johnstone, I thought he'd done very well against Trappa in the first 45 minutes, but that was probably the first time that Christian has actually got the better of him, and thankfully it paid off. He'd done great getting to the byline, cut it back for David Babunski. David hits the target, and obviously the keeper isn't able to hold it, and Lucas Stevenson is the first one to react. We made the change straight after the goal and decided to put Louis Moult up there against Jort van der Sande and try and cause their 2 centre-half problems. And I thought from that moment, when we went with the 3 in the middle and the 2 up top, I thought we were in complete control of the game from there on.
It's important when signings come in a wee bit later in the window that they hit the ground running straight away, and Lucas Stevenson's definitely somebody that's done that. That's 2 really good performances back to back now.
Yeah, I think you could probably say that about all of the new signings. I think we've been really fortunate that they've all settled as quickly as what they have, and that's credit to the guys behind the scenes, by the way. Obviously myself and Michael Kearney have worked extremely hard in the summer on the recruitment, and Luigi Capuano trying to get the deals over the line, but there's guys here behind the scenes, Neil, our player liaison, Ross Stark, that have to deal with the accommodation side of things, and just there's little things that we do off the park to try and help these guys settle in as quickly as possible, and those guys behind the scenes deserve a lot of credit for that. But there's been so many good performances from the new signings, and everybody's talking about Trapanovsky and Ferry and Babunski and now Lucas Stevenson, but I mentioned it last weekend, we can't not talk about the likes of Declan Gallagher and Ross Graham and Kevin Holt and Craig Sibbald as well, because those guys have got us into this position and are more than holding their own now in the Premier League, so I'm delighted for them.
Just going back to the 90 minutes, it was quite similar to last week in the way that we were able to see out the latter part of the game quite comfortably, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I thought last weekend against St Mirren, for probably 70-75% of the game, we had good control in it. I think that's just something that we need to keep working on. We had really good control in the first half against Dundee, not so much in the second. Up at Dingwall, not good enough in the first half, a lot better in the second half. And here today, not good enough in the first half, a lot better in the second half. So we need to try and get as close to a really good, solid 90-minute performance as possible and be more consistent. But with that said, it's not as easy as that, because you are playing against a decent level of opposition. The 2 centre forwards for St Johnstone are a nightmare for centre backs with their work rate and the way they use their body. And the boy Sidibe in particular has had a great start to the campaign. So for our 3 lads at the back to keep them as quiet as what they did, that's played a significant role in us being able to keep the clean sheet and get all 3 points.
Just touching on the fans, so I'm a maybe a wee bit restless when we were trying to play out from the back in the first half, like you mentioned, but they played a massive part in helping us get over the line in the end, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand their frustration sometimes, and the players have to make decisions in split seconds on the pitch, and sometimes, in hindsight, they're not the right ones, but they certainly made a difference today, in terms of how they got behind the team. There was a good reaction at half time, I thought, going into the second half as well. The goal obviously came at a great time, just 10 minutes after the restart of the second half, and I think that gives the whole place a lift, and there's an air of positivity and optimism. And then the second one came at a nice time as well, just to kill the game off and enable us to enjoy the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game.
It feels like I know it's early in the season, but it does feel like quite an important 3 points, given we've got a difficult run of fixtures now coming up. But after the start to the season that we have had, we shouldn't really have anything to fear from those games.
No, I think what the last 3 results gives you is a bit of confidence and a bit of belief, and it should give the players a real sense of they belong at this level. There was question marks over 1 or 2. They hadn't quite played at this level before, and could they handle it, and the pressure and the expectation, and I think they've really rose to the occasion. So we're not getting carried away. We know how difficult this league can be. We look at the next few fixtures coming up. You've away to Hearts next Sunday, followed by a game against Rangers the week when we get back, so after the international break. So there are no easy games, but what I want is for us never to be an easy fixture, regardless of who we play, whether that's Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Ross County or St Johnstone here today. We should never be an easy touch for any team. The determination and the commitment that the players have shown is what's really, really pleasing. Sometimes in games like today, where it's not particularly great to watch, you just have to find a way to win, and the players were able to do that, and it puts us in a good position. We're sitting unbeaten in the league in 3 games. We've had 2 really important clean sheets against tough opposition in St Johnstone and St Mirren last week. We've got a quarter final to look forward to. So it's a great start to the campaign, but certainly not something that we're going to get too carried away with.